Howdy, my name is Shannon Anderson and I'm a Guadalupe County 4-H Ambassador. Today I'm going to be talking about water pollution, and the two types that I'll be discussing are called point source pollution and non-point source pollution. The difference in those being point source pollution, we can trace it back exactly where it came from. In non-point source pollution, we can't pinpoint the exact location that it originally came from. Alright, so let's start off with point source pollution. An example for this would be this tire factory over here. Now in a tire factory, they're going to make rubber tires. And in the process of making them, a waste material is created that gets treated to make it safe to put back in the environment. Let's pretend their equipment breaks down and all of that waste gets put back into the environment without being treated. Where's all that waste going to go eventually? Eventually it's going to reach our lakes and our rivers and the water sources nearby. So another example for point source pollution is going to come from a sewage treatment plant. Now, what is sewage? Sewage is water from your toilets or your septic systems that gets sent to the sewage treatment plant where it decomposes and is treated to make safe to put back into the environment. Now, what would happen if the sewage treatment plant tanks exploded before that water was treated and made safe for the environment? Where's all that water going to go? Well, it's going to go straight down to the lakes and rivers that are nearby. Do you think that the water in this lake is safe for the wildlife and fish that live in it? I don't think so, and I wouldn't want to swim in it either. I also wouldn't want to drink this water because sewage water is very harmful for humans. Have you ever heard on the news when they tell you to either boil your water or drink bottled water? This is why. So now that we talked about point source pollution, I'm going to talk about non-point source pollution, which is pollution that we can't trace it back from where it came from. Now, if you look at this mountain area, we have some brown and green areas on it. What do they represent? Well, the green represents the grass and the brush plants. However, the brown represents the bare soil. Now, what happens when we have rainfall on the grass and vegetation? Raindrops would run down the plant leaf and stem into the soil where it soaks up into the root system. Now, what do you have when you have bare soil and the raindrop hits it and the soil splashes? There's nothing that can be done to stop the soil from running off the mountain. This is called soil erosion. Over here, our golf course manager takes care of the grass on the golf course. He uses fertilizer to keep the grass green and probably uses some insecticide so the golfers won't get stung by fire ants. He didn't watch the weather forecast this morning and applied the fertilizer and pesticide. Then we received 3 inches of rain. Do you think the fertilizer and pesticide had time to get in the soil or grass, or did it wash away with the rain? This is why it's very important to read the label directions on your pesticides and fertilizer and to watch the weather before applying them. Right next to our golf course, we have a home construction site that's unfinished. They've scraped the grass off the surface, and before they can get anything built, it rains really, really hard and washes all the soil away from the area. What else gets carried away with the water into the storm drain? Trash, leaves, lawn debris, oil and gas off the road or driveways. Now that the subdivision is finished, there's 100 houses, and each person in those houses has 3 dogs. Dogs have to go to the bathroom every day like we do, so what happens to the poop when there's a big rainfall and you forget to pick it up? In our farm area, our farmer has a field plowed, but his crops haven't come up, so he uses a fertilizer to help the crops grow and some pesticide to keep the insects and weeds from invading his field. Now, he also has some livestock on his field that produce manure, and he uses some of that manure as his fertilizer in his fields. Now, what happens when he has a big rainfall, but right after he applied the pesticide fertilizer? Well, all of that's going to run right into the lake that he lives next door to. Now, Now, the farmer cares a lot about water pollution and doing his part in decreasing the amount of pollution that reaches the lakes and rivers nearby him. So what he does is he plants a grassy waterway or conservation strip between the field and the lake. Now the grass is going to absorb that fertilizer and pesticide and will stop the soil from going into the lake. This is a conservation practice that many of our farmers use now near creeks and water bodies to help keep the water clean. So on this farm, the farmer is applying pesticides and fertilizers, but there's a nearby water well. Do you think that fertilizer and pesticides can get into the aquifer through a water well? The answer is yes. That's why we have to be careful about what we do near water wells. Because if the aquifer gets contaminated, it will affect not only the farmer's farmstead, but everyone who pulls water from the aquifer as well. And can the aquifer be cleaned if it's several hundred feet underground? No, it's impossible for man to clean it. So this is why we have to do our part in keeping our waterways clean. So today we talked about point source pollution and non-point source pollution and some examples to help clarify which is which. We have to remember that everything we do in our land can affect our water supply. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.